Hello everyone, the purpose of this video is to explain what a Shakespearean sonnet is. Let's dive right in. So here's 5 things to know about Shakespearean sonnets. The 5 key things that make them what they are. So the first thing is you should know is that a sonnet is considered a poem. Okay. Next important thing, they're going to be 14 lines long every time. Another important thing is they have a very specific rhyme scheme. Okay, they're also going to have 10 syllables per line. Okay, so 14 lines and each line has 10 syllables. And then the last thing is 3 quatrains and 1 couplet. So these are the 5 key things about Shakespearean sonnets to bear in mind. Let's tackle each one individually. So a sonnet is a poem. So if you think about, just Google what's a poem, and here's the definition that pops up right here. Again, let's look at this definition a little bit more in detail. So a poem is a piece of writing that partakes of the nature of both speech and song. So it sounds like a person talking and it sounds like a song. And it's almost always rhythmical. Okay, so it has a rhythm and usually metaphorical, meaning that it has some literary elements in it. And we'll talk more about that later in later videos. Also, it exhibits formal elements like rhyme, stanzaic structure. So all this means is that the poem has a structure. So if a piece of writing sounds like people talk or sounds like a song, has some rhythm, has some lit elements, has some rhyme, has a specific kind of structure, then it's going to be a poem. And a sonnet meets all that criteria. Okay, so if you look here, you're going to see all those kinds of things. For example, look at the first sentence here, day. And look right here, May. This word right here, they have the same ending. So you can see that there's a rhyme scheme. You can see that there's a structure, right? You can see it goes down right here, and then right here, there's a little indentation. So just looking at the sonnet, without even reading most of it, you can see that it meets most of these criteria of a poem. Okay, so the next key fact is that it needs to be 14 lines. Couldn't be simpler. There's 14 lines. Moving right along, 10 syllables per line. So let's a brief reminder about what a syllable is. So words can be broken into individual sounds, and syllables are what we call individual sounds. So for example, bananas, that's a word that has 3 syllables. Arizona is a word that has 4 syllables, okay? But you can also do the same thing with the entire line of poetry. So, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. So you can see 10 individual sounds per line. Okay, that's what we mean by each line has 10 syllables. Next thing, key fact number 4, 3 quatrains and 1 couplet. Okay, so when you think about the word quatrain, okay, what you probably hear is the word quad, like ATV or quad, like this thing. Why do you call it a quad? Because it has 4 tires, because quad means 4. So even though you see the number 3 here, quatrain refers to something that has 4. And obviously, couplet refers to 2 things. Okay, so a group of things in 4 and a group of things in 2. Okay, quatrain equals 4, couplet equals 2. So looking carefully at the sonnet right here, okay, quatrain 1 is those first 4 lines. Then quatrain 2 is the next 4 lines. Quatrain 3 is the next 4. So you have 3 quatrains and then 1 couplet at the end. Okay, 14 lines divided up into 3 quatrains and 1 couplet. Last thing, rhyme scheme. Okay, rhyme scheme. What's rhyme scheme? Okay, well, maybe you're thinking Dr. Seuss, like Cat in the Hat, or something like that. Or maybe you're thinking of Hip Hop All-Stars. All that's fine. Okay, they all have a really important role in how you're thinking about rhyme and rhythm. Okay, because you grew up with Dr. Seuss, and undoubtedly you grew up around hip hop as well. Even if you don't listen to it regularly, it's just always around. So you kind of know what rhyme is, but what do we mean by a scheme? So just Google it, and it tells you a large-scale systematic plan. Okay, just stop right there. You don't really need to worry about the Scottish definition, but look down here at the verb, make plans, especially in a devious way. Okay, so a scheme is a plan, and usually a devious one, but it doesn't always have to be devious. So what's a rhyme scheme? It's planned to rhyme. It's a planned rhyme. Okay, so when you're looking at a Shakespearean sonnet, this is the scheme. Okay, in the first quatrain, the end of this line and the end of this line are going to rhyme. The end of this line and the end of this line are also going to rhyme, but they're going to have different rhymes. That's why they're in different colors. Okay, so here's the plan right here, is that this quatrain has rhymes like this quatrain rhymes like this. Doesn't matter what the text is, the last word should rhyme in this pattern. Okay, so if we look at a Shakespearean sonnet, we can see that. Okay, so in the first quatrain here, you can see the rhyme scheme here. But let's look at it a little bit more closely. Okay, so when we say A, B, what that means is that A is a unique way of rhyming. So day and May. Temperate, date. Okay, A and B. When you go on to the next one, C and D, notice that C doesn't rhyme with any of these words. That's why it's a C. Okay, is because it doesn't go back to one of these rhymes. So C, shines and declines, doesn't rhyme with either dimmed or untrimmed, and it also doesn't rhyme with AB. And then you have a similar pattern next, fade and shade. That's a completely separate rhyme. It doesn't rhyme with any of the other words except these two. That's why it's called E and F. And then let's review. The couplet is always going to rhyme as well. So 5 key facts about sonnets. Remember, it's a poem. Remember, it's 14 lines long. Remember that it has a specific rhyme scheme. Remember that it's 10 syllables per line. And remember that it contains 3 quatrains and 1 couplet. Thank you for your time and attention.